We're here today in New Jersey to work with On-Time Ambulance to convert them from the computerized dispatch system they used for about 25 years now into a new system called Logis. We're here to do training, implementation, and then work with them over through their first few weeks going live in the new system.
So we've already gathered all their business rules and kind of built our platform customized to them. And now we're going through the training phase of that and getting all their employees up to speed.
So we're basically doing a heart transplant for our industry. We're replacing our dispatch system, and our call taking system holds a lot of important information. And we're doing all the training down there. So we have a bunch of computers set up. All of our staff is cycling through and going through several hours of training on our new system. So our existing system is quite antiquated. They haven't really done many upgrades or significant upgrades. A good example is to designate contracts for a facility. There's no way in the old dispatch system for me to let the dispatchers know quickly what our relationship is with the facility.
Most other platforms are designed for 911 or fire departments or police departments where here's an incident, there's the closest ambulance, go. Well, these guys are taking calls for a week from now to tomorrow to later in the afternoon. And you don't have to look at it just sitting in a queue waiting for it to happen. You can plan it out. I know I have this resource coming in, we can accommodate it, and let's just plan it now.
It's a science. It's very difficult to really match the supply and demand to an on-demand type of service. I mean, everybody knows you go to a restaurant, it's typically between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. So let's staff up there. In our industry, we actually can use some formulas to predict when the next call is going to occur. I mean, there's some state-of-the-art technology out there that can help us do that.
So a couple of the biggest benefits that we see is, for example, where you may have 4 or 5 people in the room today who can only do 1,000 calls, and you want to increase your volume. Well, in the past, in traditional systems, that requires you to, if you want to double your volume of work, you got to double your capacity of staff in the room. With Logis, we've seen the ability to maintain the same level of staff and do 2 to 2.5 times as much work. Another area is staying on top of issues or situations that are going to be problematic for you with your customers. For example, the system is constantly evaluating what's going on, who's doing what, where they are, and prompting the people in the room to say, hey, there was a traffic backup on the highway, we're now going to be late, you need to call, make sure that somebody knows we're going to be late. This way we can be proactive about it, that when there is a problem, we're going to know about it, we're going to contact the people that are involved, they're going to have a heads up and be better prepared to handle those types of situations.
So with traditional systems, a lot of the decision making is done by individual humans. So figuring out where trips fit in a schedule, what to do with each individual transport. You spend a lot of your time scheduling transports as opposed to managing resources. Logis kind of changes that, and you set up your business rules so that it does all the assignments of the transports for you, and you just have to worry about managing your resources, your vehicles, your crews, your equipment. You're not moving trips around and trying to figure out where they fit. So it cuts a lot of the, what now becomes busy work out of it. It learns over time. So if there's certain facilities that we go to that tend to take longer to discharge patients, as we do transports from there, it'll learn those tendencies at the facility level, at the department level, and even at our crew levels.
We spend a great deal of time focusing on those call takers, making sure they understand that if they mess up the call process or the call intake process, they can have downstream effects in dispatch now that aren't going to be caught by somebody. Because it used to be when somebody was call taking, if they made a mistake, no big deal, dispatcher would catch it. I'd be covered. So they didn't have to worry about it. Now it's critical that they get that process done right. So we spend a day, 2 days focusing on that, making sure they're educated on the process, making sure they have their system set up so that they can practice in their real environment. And then we sit them through hours of practice.
My initial reaction was definitely fear. Since I started here, we've been using the old system that we were using, and at that point I was just used to it. It was just something that I could pick up and do with my eyes closed. So when they told us that we were getting new technology, more specifically AI technology, I was just kind of going through it in my mind.
Usually that apprehension comes from, am I going to be able to do the things I do today? And a big piece of the training process is reassuring them that it's just a different way of doing it, but the same processes can happen. And that's one of the biggest things that users need to see, is that I'm still going to be able to do my job. I can still capture what I need, I can still get the information I need, and I can still make sure that the patients are getting taken care of. And we spend a good amount of time during the training process actually showing the difference, or you used to do it this way, here's the way you do it now. And once you get them to that comfort level of, everything you do today, you can still do, it's just a different screen or it looks a little different, the anxiety level goes way down once they know, I can still do my job.
Well, you want them to have confidence in the product, and you want them to have confidence in themselves.
Yes, the terminology that they use is different than what we were using with the old system. They're not trip-based anymore, where the dispatchers have to really focus on each trip and who's doing it. It's more so now what crews are available to handle what jobs and what they're managing when they're on the road.
I'm just excited to have just the customization allows me to do things with purpose in this system that I had to kind of fudge things in the last system that wasn't very clean.
We customize for everybody, so always start with, what's unique about your business, what are your business rules, and kind of tailor our product to that.
It will make my job easier because everybody's going to be held accountable, not just my dispatchers, but with the crews, with their time stamping, when they should be at places that they should be at and on time.
It really does plan the day for the non-emergency work, but also allows tremendous impact on decision-making for those real-time emergent incidents as well. So those customers out there that are on legacy systems that are really used to what they have, and they ask me a question, and they say, well, what's the main difference between Logis and what we have? It learns your business rules and it plans your day and takes a lot of pressure off the human being. I mean, it's really a high-pressure environment. And all of that is put on one individual to make all those decisions. You have to learn how to do more with less and think smarter rather than work harder.
Things that you might have been doing for 20 years just because that's the way you have to do it in your current system doesn't have to translate over. You figure out why you're doing things, get it all down before you start this process. And then when you do start it, it makes it a lot easier to configure your system and put those rules in place. And then you can see it just kind of drive itself.
It's a very large decision, a very important decision for them to make. If this doesn't go well, I'm going to interrupt my patient care, I'm going to interrupt my employees' lives, and I'm going to interrupt the cash flow.
It's the biggest change we've had in this company. Since I've started here, dispatch has always been seen as the heart of the company. I think the dispatchers are really honing in on what their new responsibilities are going to be, and they are excited about it. I do see them taking the time to ask questions. They're engaged. None of them have turned down the idea of adopting this new system. Not that they had a choice, but they're really accepting it. So I think it's going in the right direction.
It's a lot of long hours put into it now, but it's very motivating knowing what the final product is going to look like, and it's going to be great for the company.